What's going on, New Canoe Nation? Back for another episode of Unlimited. Episode 11. We're on a roll, boys and girls. Woo! Welcome, welcome. Go down in that lower left-hand corner, smash the share button. Drop in the comments where you're tuning in from, what boat you're floating out of, whether it's a new canoe or one of those other things out there, you know. But we got the professor in the house tonight, the wizard of kayak rigging. I see some guys in the chat already. Dave Palmer is claiming he was here first. That's right. That's right. Josh Hoover, you're slow to the punch, brother. But let's get our man Romel in the house here. Romel, welcome to the show, my friend. Oh man, we got some mic issues on you, man. We can't hear you. I'm gonna pull him out real quick. We'll go through the comments real quick. We got Bob in the house. Ontario, Canada, floating out of an F12. Welcome, my friend. Welcome. Blaine Upton on a roll. Thanks to Mr. Schiller. You're welcome, sir. You're welcome, sir. Coming at you from South Carolina. Let's see if we got Romel. Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now, my friend.
All right. Sorry about that.
No worries.
My headphones, but
it's all good, man. Hey, if there wasn't any technical difficulties, it wouldn't be an official show. It's almost like Everett's in the house. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. That guy always has technical problems.
We always got to give Everett a hard time, man.
Of course.
Always got to give him a hard time.
100%.
But you know the drill, man. Let's start off where you're from, how you got into kayak fishing, and all that good stuff, my friend.
Oh, man. Well, I'm from California, Northern California, to be specific. Bay Area was where I grew up, just by like San Jose, like Fremont, San Francisco area, about an hour from San Francisco. So kayak fishing, man. Started kayaking when I was tired of fishing off the bank. So that was probably 6-7 years ago.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Right on. And did you get into a new canoe right away, or?
No, I wish I would have. I went through the newbie trials and tribulations before I found the new canoe. That's for sure. I tried to do as much research as I could, and there's in the Bay Area, there's not really many kayak shops. I mean, really, it's
Headwaters, and that's it, right?
Well, Headwaters at that time was still an hour and 15 minutes away from me at the time when I was living in the Bay Area. So there was only one shop that was about 45 minutes away, and I went there, and they weren't very informational. They didn't really give me too much information. So I ended up, I first purchased a Jackson Cruise.
Okay.
And that was an experience. That was for sure. First time I took it out, I almost dumped it like 3 times. And I'm like, you know what? This isn't for me. So I ended up after that with a feel free. And didn't like that either. And then I ended up with a Wilderness Commander 120, which is funny because it's not really a kayak. It's kind of a hybrid, almost like a canoe.
Yeah, right.
And I rocked that for quite some time. I really liked that boat. It did everything well for me. I took my son on it with me, and it worked. And then I started looking into kayaks that were more geared towards fishing, and specifically for me, something that had a little bit more flexibility to do modifications and motors and whatnot. And don't get me wrong, I had a motor on my Commander 120, and I had a motor on that Moken too. So, it happened. I just made it happen. But, I finally was able to go to the ISE, which is International Sportsman's Expo in SAC, and that's where I had seen New Canoe online, and but that was the first time I saw one in person, and after that was game over. I just
Nice.
fell in love with that pursuit.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, you got some people already calling out the white one in the background. We'll get to that though. We'll get to that. I
oh,
know you were trying to keep that one under wraps for a little bit, and then you're like, I just can't hide it anymore, and you posted it up on
I
social media.
can't. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like I just, you know, I hung out at Headwaters for quite some time, and Dan over there had a all white Caribbean, an Eddie line, and I
Okay.
just loved it. It was so clean, and
Yeah.
I always told myself, I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. I mean, I understand it's gonna get, you know what, it's gonna get dirty.
Yeah.
They're all gonna get dirty. I mean, I have a like dark colored kayaks that just look dirty. It's okay. But that thing up there, that's a special one. Yeah, I have some very very special things planned for that one.
All right. All right. I
Yeah.
like it. I like it. Did you get an unlimited yet?
I did. I have one
Oh,
right here.
nice. Nice.
I'll let you guys take a peek at it.
That's right. You got the black and blue, man. I
I
love
did
that.
get the black and blue.
I
So
love that combo, man. It looks slick. It looks
yeah.
really slick.
I think as far as I know, that's the only one. I don't know if anyone else has one yet. So
I picked mine up today. It's I got army camo because I'm gonna
you
be
got
doing
Army
some
Camo.
duck hunting this fall. So I
Oh,
figured
there you go.
I'd go with that. Everett's in the house. He says bring that baby to Georgia and it'll be brown.
Yeah, it will be. But then at that point, it'll just take whatever colors nature gives it, which is
Yeah.
okay.
Right on, man. Well, like I'm sure you've already seen a bunch of people in the comments are calling you the wizard.
Oh,
You're
geez.
known for rigging up kayaks, man. So how did that all start? Because I'm super intrigued by this. Like I've
Yeah.
always seen all these, and I mean, you guys, I'm sure everybody in the chat follows Greg Blanchard. That's how I first found out about you. You're always
Right.
rigging up stuff for those guys. You're part of the Dark Horse crew. Shout out to the Dark Horse crew. So it's like you're rigging up these boats, man, and you're doing some pretty cool stuff. Like I just saw the one, was it like a live scope transducer that you made something so it drops in over the side or something like that?
Yeah, that was for Pac West, new Pac West member Alex Cox, and that Mega 360. I mean, had pretty cool stuff. So the
Yeah.
problem is that there was really nothing out there for. I mean, you could deploy it and put it on a Ram Power Claw or something, but when you I just hate being on the water, having to loosen knobs and tilt it over and swing it. I just wanted to be able to just grab it and just pull it and be done and sit down. So
Right.
and it worked out. And it's funny is I think I've had maybe 4 or 5 other guys that really want that, and so yeah, that one worked really well. But as far as like rigging goes, I mean, I've always been into hobbies. I mean, I've done RC car racing, I've done paintball, I've done all kinds of stuff. And whenever we did anything, tricking out whatever apparatus that I was using was just commonplace. I mean, it was kind of like with RC cars. I mean, you could buy RC car kit, but man, part of the
Yeah.
fun was putting all the trick hardware on it, all the trick electronics, like just
Decking
trekking
it
it out.
out.
Yeah, decking it out, man. And then same thing with paintball, man. Jeez, paintball. That was a
Expensive
I got
hobby.
I got real big into tournament paintball, and man, that was an adventure in itself. And then as far as like kayaks goes, I mean, I always, like I said, that it just kind of translated to that. I mean, people do it with the reels. I mean, you see all these guys with the
Yeah.
JDM reels and different knobs and different anodized, so why not a kayak? I mean,
Sure.
it just kind of works out that way. I just like to put to make things personal. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody likes to put their own personal touches on stuff, their vehicles or cars or whatever it may be, boats and whatnot. So same thing for the kayak. I guess I go a little further than most do, and that's just me, I guess. But everyone seems to like it, and so it works out for sure.
So, like, do some of these guys come to you and they're like, "Hey, I got an idea. Like, can you make this happen?" Is that how it generally goes, or are you the one that's like, "Hey, I could do something for you"?
That's typically how it starts out. And like I said, everybody's different. As no matter what, you can set up a kayak, you know, specifically for yourself, but you know, every kayak's different. Every person's different. Everybody likes things differently. Everybody has their own taste, their own style, their own, ideas. And I'm not one to push my own ideas on people. I mean, I'll give suggestions, like um, depending, from what I've seen. But I usually let them steer the boat first. Um,
Okay.
so I'll ask them what they want to do. Like where do they prefer their fish finder? Right hand, left hand, in front of them. Just kind of get a general basis on how they like to operate things, because when it's all said and done, it's the person that's in the kayak is the one that's using it. And maybe having the fish finder towards the center on the right is fine for somebody, it's fine for me, but maybe that person likes it on the left, or maybe that person likes it up high or down low. Who am I to tell you how you like your hamburger, or
Yeah.
you
Right.
know
Right.
I'm just here. I'm just taking the direction, and then I run from it from there. Where I come in is more so the details. So you can tell me, hey, I want my fish finder mounted on the right hand side, but okay, I'll take that. Um, I'll put it there, but then I'll suggest, okay, well, we can do carbon fiber, we can do whatever, starboard, aluminum, different colors, whatnot. And 90% of the people kind of let me do my thing on that, as long as the operation wise, as far as like, where locations things are going to be, or where they like it. Um, the detail work and the kind of trick hardware and operational wise stuff, that's where I come and play. That's for sure.
Yeah, man. It's been interesting, like some of this stuff. So, do you have like an engineering background? Is that like kind of how you got into it, or it's just like strictly a hobby for you?
Honestly, I don't have an engineering background. I've always been into tech. I had uncles and my dad and my grandfather that were, um, really into building stuff, and the that kind of just trickled into me. I was always that kid that liked to take things apart. Um, it's funny. I tell the story all the time, but I got in trouble one time because I took the remote control on the TV apart because I wanted to see what was inside it. And at that time, I wasn't good at putting things back together. So
Yep.
I, yeah, so I just kind of figured my way through there, and then you know, doing RC, actually funny RC cars. A lot of my technical uh, starting out came from building RC cars, and just different hardware, servos, motors, controllers, batteries, um, all that stuff. It all kind of translated to what I like to do. So, and then as far as like work goes, I got into a company. It was actually my friend's parents' company. They're a two-way radio shop. So I'm a two-way radio technician by trade. I was in it for many years.
Huh.
But I got into building public safety vehicles, police cars, fire trucks, ambulances, you know, you name it. So that's where 12 volt systems and relays and LEDs, lights. I mean,
Yeah.
these, you know, who doesn't like bright LED lights that flash and do all kinds of crazy stuff, right?
Right, right,
Um,
right.
so yeah, I you know, did that stuff for many, many years. So, you know, that's where the 12 volt stuff comes into play. And in public safety, when you build um, vehicles and whatnot, it's very important that that stuff is done right. Um, so quality always is very important. And I look at it at the same as, you know, when you're on a kayak as well. Quality, how you wire things, what gauge wire, blah blah blah, all that stuff. It's important, you know, because
Yeah.
ultimately, if something fails or something goes wrong on the kayak, your life could potentially be, you know, in danger.
Oh, yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, so you know, I take that into consideration, and that just, you know, that's my background goes. But as far as like, you know, school and being like, you know, going to school for engineering, no, never. I would like to, but you know, I would have liked to back then, but
Sure.
everything's kind of self-taught at that point, I guess. So
Right on, man. Right on. Well, we got a question in the chat from Blaine
uh,
Upton. He says, "What material are you using to make the dash type products out of? It's beautiful."
so I use a combination of starboard and carbon fiber. I have a couple of sources that I use for carbon fiber, and there's many grades of carbon fiber. I mean, you're talking there's your basic, I would call basic grade carbon fiber, and then there's aircraft grade, medical grade. There's all kinds. I typically stay because of cost. Carbon fiber is expensive. Um, I like to stay, you know, in the yep. There's a piece there. Kind of in the middle grade, different thicknesses, 2 mil, 4 mil, 3 mil. Thickest I'll go is 4 mil. And you know, I tell you what, the carbon fiber thing, I used to cut all that stuff by hand, which is actually not a good thing to do.
No.
Um, and a couple years ago, I was able to save enough money and purchase a CNC router, a small one.
Okay.
I say it's small, but I can do like 32-inch by 32-inch pieces. So for me, I know everyone likes to use game changing as a kind of loosely, but for me, it was a game changer because I could design stuff and produce it and you know, put stuff out and I could duplicate it and the product would be the same every time. Um, and then within that, I could take a design and make something and then revise it without having to start all over again. Um, so it was huge for me, and you know, that industry, the whole CNC routing and the 3D printing, man, that opens up so many doors for people like myself. So
Yeah, yeah, I totally get that, man. I used to have a little laser machine that I would etch
yeah,
wood with, dude, and it was like the
oh
things we could do with that, it was just like, man, we were pumping stuff out of my wood shop left and right back in the day.
yeah,
And it
right.
was just like, dude, this is so huge. Like, you
Hmm.
know, it was like every day we were like, what can we do today? You know? And
Right.
it's it definitely makes a difference. And that was one of the questions I had was, you know, are you doing some of this with a CNC mill? Because some of the stuff you're doing, man, it's pretty
Yeah.
accurate and precise. Like as far as like batteries fitting in consoles and things like that, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
doing that all by hand and laying that out, that would take some time. But you know, if you could plug it into a computer and do it CNC wise, man, it saves a ton of time and makes
Does.
the final product that much better, man.
It does. I mean, you know what? The learning curve on it is not as steep as one may think. I think they make it pretty user friendly. I mean, you still have to have, you know, some technical ability and level, but you
Sure.
know, I think anybody can run one. You know, you're gonna make mistakes. I mean, trust me. Like I tell people all the time, it's like for every one cool thing I make, I probably made 10 bad things. You know, it's kind of
Yeah.
like that's just kind of how it goes. You know, I have, you know, but um the trials of going through and stepping through different things and you know, you can look at something and be like, you know, I want to make that and going from that idea to actual something that works, it takes time. And I've learned that I can learn more from failing than I can from just thinking. So, you know,
Absolutely.
I tell a buddy of mine all the time, and I do most of my thinking when I'm commuting. I unfortunately well, not anymore, but um, I commute. Well, I used to commute 2 hours each way, so 4 hours a day to work.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of time. I listen to podcasts, but a lot of music, whatever. But a lot of that time is just thinking about ideas. Sometimes I have my phone mounted on my dash, and I'll have a picture of a kayak, like the Unlimited, just sitting there, and I'll just kind of glance at it, every now and then, and just, okay, what am I going to do? I was like, what do I want to do on this kayak? And that kind of time sitting in the cars, I try to make use of it as much as I can, and a lot of the times, just the thoughts and thinking about that stuff is um, kind of where it begins. But definitely having a machine that you can, and having software and and I'm still an infant at that. I mean, there's so many guys out there that are way better than me. Um, but yeah, it's kind of like it's there that you can use your imagination, and you can have the tools now to do things. Man, I wish I had that stuff when I was a kid, when I was younger. I
Right.
mean, I'd be making RC car parts left and right, and I still do.
Right.
But yeah, so it's it's
That's
it's it's an it's a it's a good time to be a tinkerer right now, for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, and the technology is only getting better and cheaper, right? Like,
Oh, of course, yeah, yeah, yeah.
20 years ago, that CNC machine was probably 20 times what it is now,
Oh, most definitely, and it was so much more complicated to set up and use.
Right, right.
Yeah.
You 3D printing some stuff too?
I haven't started 3D printing yet. For me, the 3D printing stuff is cool. I have a lot of buddies that are into it, and they're all like, "That would take you to the next level." I'm like, "Man, I'm still trying to get used to the level that I'm at right now." The CNC thing was like just looking at like the parts that I was doing by hand,
Yeah,
and the things that I were making, that I was producing. um, the CNC just made more sense to me at the time, but there are some things that are coming up that I'll be probably working on 3D print for. So
nice, nice.
yeah.
We got a question in the chat from Alex Cox. He says,
Uh-huh.
with bow mount motors being such a big craze, what does Romel think the next biggest thing is going to be?
Oh, geez, man. The next real big thing, well, not big thing, but I'm surprised the industry, and it's moving towards that direction, but brushless motors.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
brushless motors unlocks a whole
different world.
different world. That's for sure.
RC cars, man, that's the way they went, right?
That's the way it went. That's the
Yep,
way it went. It went NiCad batteries to I forgot what other chemistries we used, but then to lithium.
yep.
And they went from brush motors to brushless motors, and you see some brushless motors out there already. But as far as kayak specific, oh man, I would love to see a kayak specific brushless bow mount. Um, that would be amazing, because don't get me wrong, the way that we are running right now, the setup wise, as far as the motor guides and the Minn Kotas and there's a couple other brands out there.
Yeah,
Weight for me is a huge thing. For me, I like to run as light as possible. Um,
sure.
I'm kind of the opposite, where everyone goes. I have this conversation a lot. Everyone tries to go, okay, I want the biggest battery I can put in my kayak. I'm like, that's one way to do it. I'd rather, for me, I like to analyze what I use in a day and go with maybe 10% above that. Um,
Okay.
and that way, it's like, if I have a 100 amp battery and on my normal trip, I only use 50 amp hours. Why carry the extra 50?
Sure. Yeah. Makes sense.
There's no reason to.
You're probably
It's actually
losing.
not that. It's actually really not. Lithium's not so bad. You can do it.
Right.
But it's actually not that good on your battery to only run it halfway and charge it back up. It's actually better to run it down further.
Yeah, I know I did a podcast with, oh man, I'm going to forget his name. The guy from Bieno Power over on Paddle and Fin. Yeah, Kevin Zanjani.
I love Kevin.
He's a great dude, and he was talking about that, man. Some of the myths and things that people don't realize with lithium batteries. Like if you guys, not to throw a shameless plug out there, but if you guys want to really learn about lithium batteries and how they operate, go to the Paddle and Fin podcast, scroll back about a couple months, and you'll find that Bieno Power episode. And it was absolutely mind-blowing. It just so much information. But that was one thing he brought up in that, and it was because I was doing the same thing, man. I'd run my battery maybe a quarter, half down, and I'm throwing it up right on the charger. Got to be full in case I got to do the extra distance the next day. And of course, the next day you just go a mile, and you're like, oh, I guess I didn't need to charge the battery.
Exactly. It's the old thing is more is better. And in some cases, yes. I get it. But most cases, just enough is probably better.
Yeah. So, are you running a bow mount motor on your kayak?
Oh boy. Yeah. I mean, man, I've been running motor guides since 2016.
Okay.
Probably was one of the first guys to really put a lot of time on the XI5. Back then, the XI3 wasn't out yet.
Right.
So I've done them all, actually. Motor Guide, Minn Kota, with the ProNav.
What'd you think of the ProNav?
The ProNav is cool. I tell people all the time that there are options, and the ProNav gives you a couple things in the programming that is pretty cool. I have nothing bad to say about their software. It all works pretty well. The only downside with their system is that their modules on the outside. And I get that. It's because it's an add-on module, but it works well. I have a Hoswing kind of off-brand GPS motor. That's actually what's going to be on the Unlimited for a little bit.
Okay.
I'm going to be testing that out. And that has some interesting abilities as well. So,
okay.
But the Motor Guide, man, that's bread and butter.
The bee's knees.
It's good. It works. It works well. Like I said, I've been running those for a long time, and it's funny. The XI5, really, and the XI3 are very, very similar. The XI5, the chassis is just really built because was built for boats.
Sure.
The XI3 is a little bit lighter, which is cool. And now that they have the 36-inch shaft, it's nice. You don't have to worry about trying to cut it or whatnot. So it's a good thing for sure.
So do you find yourself like consistently like buying new things just to try them out? Are you one of those guys? Yeah.
Oh yeah. All the time.
What would you say be the one that surprised you the most, that you thought it probably wasn't going to be any good, and then you were like, this is actually really nice?
I will say the deeper fish finder little.
Really? Yeah. Interesting.
Yes. honestly, I thought it was a gimmick.
Yeah.
It's a little thing. But after using it, I actually got to try one with Greg, and I ended up picking one up, and it's just easy. You know, I doing demos and trying to, because a lot of my builds are really custom, of course, and so moving my electronics from one boat to another always became a chore. And
Sure.
that unit, it gave me just enough information, um, and it was just easy. It was easy to use. I could put it on my iPad, Android tablet, on my phone if I was in a hurry. It does have a little bit, not issue, but the runtime as far as charge time is a little low for an all
Sure.
day tourney. But I wouldn't be using that for tourney anyway. That's just something that I use for like quick trips. But it works well. I mean, I tell you, I end up, sometimes I use that more than any of my other units. That's for sure. It's just easy. It's quick.
That's cool.
That surprised me. That and I would say, like, let's see what else. Cameras. Everyone loves the GoPros. God, they're a great product. And but honestly, I lost one. It was a GoPro 7. I just got it, and I was fiddling with my mount, and something happened. I think a boat came by and waked me, and I dropped it, and it was gone. And I was like,
Oh man.
dude, there goes $400.
Yeah.
Like, so I ended up buying, just the $99 to $120 camera on Amazon. There's a couple different brands out there. Akaso and SJ Cam and blah blah blah. They work, and I could buy 3 of those for the price of one. So it's like,
Yeah. No brainer.
and if I lose one, it's like, it kind of stings, but it's not like
It's not
it's
as
like,
bad as $400.
right. And but they work. So yeah, that's the other thing, like action camera stuff. That's another thing. But
Right on, man. Well, we got a couple questions in the chat. First one's from Danny Uribe. What's the most extreme kayak modification you've done?
Of course, you had to ask this one, and I will say, even though most people didn't see it, Danny's kayak, his power poles were actually controlled. I had the option to control it with Alexa. So
No, come on.
yeah, uh huh. It had it. It had it. So literally, you could be standing up, and I had I forgot what speaker I was using, but it was a UE boom up in the front, and I had wired Alexa modules up to the power pole remote. So you would literally say, Alexa, anchor down, and it would drop anchor. And Alexa, anchor up, and it would bring the anchors up.
Alex Cox says Danny wanted to say, "Hey Alexa, where are the fish?"
Yeah, Alexa's not that smart, Danny. So you're SOL on that one, buddy.
we got Danny coming up on a future episode in a few weeks, so we'll definitely dive into that. We'll dive into that.
That kayak was oh man, that was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in that kayak. That's for sure.
That's funny.
That was probably the biggest, probably most technologically and tricked out kayak I've ever done. Is that one?
Nice.
Yeah.
Daryl Kowalski says, Romel, what gauge wire would you use for an XI3 kayak install?
So at minimum 8 gauge. To be safe, you could do 6. But not all wires created equal. There are different grades of wire. I typically lean towards welding cable. You can get it on Amazon. It's like 25 feet for $45 or something like that. It's amazing stuff. Um, but wire is just one part of it. You have to make sure that your connections are good. Um, so solder if you can. Um, Crimp really well if you do have to crimp. That's the way you do it. But buy high quality stuff. Buy um, you want to look for our OFC, which is oxygen free copper, or there's a lot of copper tinned aluminum wire out there. Don't go for that stuff. Go for the good stuff. Makes a big difference. Um, but most of the failures that I see stem from bad terminations. So like battery connections at the batteries themselves, or failure points, circular connectors, plugs at the motors. Those tend to fail. I went away from um, the socket and plug style. A lot of people do a lot of different things. I've seen people use stuff from Home Depot for AC.
Yeah.
That
Right.
stuff
Right.
works. It works fine. But I use SB50s Anderson style flat connectors. I like those quite a bit. That's pretty much all I use now. But just make sure your connections are good and clean. Pick up some. They call it no-ox. It's it's dielectric grease with this no oxidation compound. You can get it on, just search no-ox on Amazon. They sell it in little tubes. Just apply a really thin coat on any electrical connections and reapply every now and then because it does wear off. Um, but just make sure your connections are good. Wires, I mean, you can theoretically get away with 10 gauge um, up to like maybe 11 feet.
Sure.
But I've done it, and I hadn't had any issues with that, but I don't recommend it, of course. So 8 gauge at minimum. Make sure your connections are really good. If you don't know how to solder big connectors like that, go on YouTube. All you really need is some solder, a vise, and you can even use a torch.
Yep.
Uh, it works. It works well, and then you won't have to worry about your connectors or your crimps pulling or anything like that. So
Good stuff right there. Hope you guys had your notepads out for that. Mark Bolin tuning in on YouTube. He says, "How are you hanging the kayak on the wall behind you?"
that is, I forgot what brand that is, but it's from Amazon, and they're heavy duty wall mounts, and they were really really inexpensive. They're J mounts, but they're really built really well as far as thick gauge um, square tube that's bent. I've had those for years, and they work great. Never had a problem with them.
I think Suspends makes a good J channel like
Suspends
that
does
too.
make one.
Yeah.
Suspends does make a good one. I think Boondocks makes something similar as well. Um, uh, you know, Unfortunately, Amazon is just crazy. I wouldn't be able to do half the stuff I do without Amazon.
Yeah. It's a wormhole, man.
It is. I mean,
It
it's
just
wonderful.
sucks you in.
People ask me, like, where do I get my hardware and like all the stuff from? And I used to go to online sources, small shops and whatnot, and I try to do that still but man, you can't next day delivery Amazon for free. I mean, it's crazy. So, but
Right on. Right on.
yeah.
Very cool, man. Well, what do you got coming up next, man? What any
Mm.
big builds? You just working on your boats now, or
Well, I have it's interesting. I am actually I had just changed jobs, so I am now working for a company that allows me to work from home,
oh,
which
cool.
is awesome. I basically get back 4 hours a day, um, and it's like, man, I could do a lot with 4 hours a day. So, um, projects wise, I have pursuit that I'm finishing for Matt Bray. Finally getting a bow mount, so I did doing that for him. I have a gentleman that has a Blue Sky Boatworks that I'm trekking out. I just
Nice.
got back from Wisconsin. Actually, I did a Ranger bass boat. That
Cool.
was, I mean, everything. I mean, we're talking 12-inch helix, Panoptics, Ultrex, hydrowave, lights, stereo system, all lithium batteries, power pull charge. So that was a project that one's done. But and then I have another gentleman with a Hobie that's going to do a bow mount. And then another gentleman that has a Titan 10.5 that wants to do a bow mount, kind of like a Greg Blanchard build. I'm sure Greg Blanchard has some something new in the works coming, maybe.
Okay. All right.
And then, of course, that is going to be that one's going to be a sight to see. The Unlimited is going to be very, very cool. I'm going to do some things that probably nobody will do, of course, but I'm really excited about the Pursuit. I mean, that's I just love the Pursuit. I've always
Man.
That's my favorite boat. I mean, I've been in all of them, and all of them are good. And but the Pursuit, man, that thing is my favorite. Well, until maybe when I get the Unlimited in the water, we'll see. That'll probably happen this weekend. But we'll see if that changes my mind. But it's got a lot to live up to. The Pursuit is amazing. So.
Right on. We got Derek Kivett. If I butchered your last name, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm horrible with names. He's wondering how much Romel's carbon fiber pivot drive base would cost for an F12, and then he asked if you had a website. I'm sure that's something you guys would want to discuss on the side, but is there a place where folks could go to contact you to, maybe hit you up for, making some parts, decking out their boats, things like that? Like, how does that work, man?
Easiest way to get a hold of me is usually Instagram, or Facebook Messenger. Instagram, it's at Romel Labrador or at
Wait. I got it for you, man. I got it. And I've been slacking. Bam, it's at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, there it is.
You ask, you shall receive.
There it is. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. Message me there. We can talk for sure. If there's anybody that wants to talk about stuff, if you have any questions or need any advice, I'm always open to pretty much everybody. It's not even just a new canoe thing, just kayak fishing enthusiasts in general. I don't discriminate.
Right on.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, I ask everybody this question towards the end of every show, so I got to ask you. You got a Frontier 12, rigged up tandem. You can go fishing for a day on the water with anyone dead or alive. Who's it going to be?
Oh, anyone dead or alive? Who would it be? Jeez, that's a good one. Shoot.
Is it going to be Obedy?
Because Obedy would be that guy would be a hilarious ride. That's for sure. But because I used to be a real big wrestling fan, and I know he has a private pond that he stocks bass fishing, probably The Rock.
All right.
I just think it'd just be hilarious.
I like it.
Just to have that personality and that big of a guy on a kayak.
That would be hilarious.
That would be hilarious. Uh-huh.
I think that's the best answer yet to that question. I love it, man. That would be great.
Could just imagine, just him talking crap to bass fish like he used to do.
In wrestling. Yeah.
No, I think it would be hilarious. I think it would be funny. So I think
That's
so.
great, man.
Rock.
I love it. I love it. Well, brother, I want to say thank you for taking the time out tonight to sit down, have a conversation. I know you kind of rushed home from work to do this, and I appreciate that.
Funny story before you go about that. Why I was where I was actually at Greg Blanchard's house working on his garage.
Oh, sure. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it, buddy. Yeah.
And I hit some traffic. And
hey,
I left.
If you're going to be late for a show, Greg Blanchard is an absolute perfect excuse in the kayak world. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
So. Yeah, I guess so.
I love it, man. I love it, dude. Yeah. Well, guys and gals, thank you for tuning in for another episode of Unlimited. Go follow Romel. He's always putting out some great photos and videos of all the kayaks he's rigging up, man. It'll just blow your mind. If you guys tuned in late, this will obviously be on the Facebook page, but you can also catch it on any of the major podcast platforms. Just search New Canoes Unlimited. Romel, thanks again, man. Appreciate it.
It was my pleasure.
Absolutely, man. And for everybody else, we are switching to Tuesday nights starting next week. So get ready for that. We're moving off of Mondays, going to Tuesdays. And you would think I would have this in front of me, but I will tell you who will be on next week. Just give me 2 seconds because I totally slacked off on you guys. Next week, we got Stuart Venable.
Oh, my boy, Stuart.
Yeah, I'm bad with last names, man. I'm so bad with that. So tune in next Tuesday, 7 p.m. We'll be talking to Stuart, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. See you.